Welcome everybody here in Pakhuis de Zwijger for a very special edition. It's going to be the book launch of Prototyping 2040, very special book. We have some guests here after months and months of silence here in the halls of the Pakhuis. We finally have some audience here. And also we have the people at home. So we're still sort of in a hybrid. My name is Jeroen Junte. I will be the moderator of the evening, but I'll be of minor importance. Tonight it is all about Suzanna Skalska and Rafał Kołodziej. As you might have guessed, there are two from Polish backgrounds, but for a long time already operating from Eindhoven. They're futurologists, they're trend forecasters, they're thinkers about the future. A whole package of things, and we're here to launch their new book. This is my Matthijs van Nieuwkerk moment. The book here. The people at home can order the book. The people here, when we leave here after roughly 1.5 hours, you can pick up your book. Tonight it's going to be an exit through the gift shop, and you can pick up your signed edition of this very special book here. First, there will be a headfirst dive into the future by Zuzanna, followed by Rafał. I will have an interview with both of them here at the table. And at the end of the evening, I'll have a discussion also at the table. He will join in Robert van Rixel of also Eindhoven. There's a little Eindhoven flavor here tonight of graphic design agency Van Rixel van de Put. Also from Eindhoven, who designed the book. And that's also well worth diving into. So, we have a very full program tonight. Before we start, of course, you can all join in here at the Zwijger and also at home with questions. And to ask your questions, you have to go to menti.com. That's menti.com, menti.com. When you go there, you can log in with a special code. You see it here, 44970873. I'll repeat it later on during the conversations as well. So for the first part of this evening, which is the bigger part, say 1.5 hour, 1 hour and 50 minutes, we will be live. Afterwards, and that's the privilege of the people here, we have a more intimate Q&A with the designers. But for now, yeah, questions have to be run by menti.com. Okay. Prototyping 2040. That means it is a book of let me see, how many pages?
Almost 300.
Almost 300 pages. Exploring the 20 years to come and working to a future that is now being made, because the future has already started some 5 minutes ago. First, I'll start with introducing Suzanna Skalsky. She runs in Eindhoven her own trend agency 365. Together with Rafał Kołodziej, she also runs Futures Thinking, or actually futuresthinking.pl. That's the Polish background. And together, this is their first book they've launched. Zuzanna, please take us to the future. Yeah, I'm already very hyped. And I'm really looking forward to people here. I see a lot of people with pen and paper. They're taking notes. I also hope you at home that you have a pen and paper ready, because Zuzanna's going to guide us for the next, say, 20-25 minutes. Zuzanna, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Jeroen. Thank you. You know, I feel like a little bit like a television studio, and now it's weather time, you know? I'm forecasting the weather. This is just my feeling. Thank you very much for a very nice introducing. Yes, I live already more than 30 years in the Netherlands. All years in beautiful Eindhoven, yes. But, you know, our book is, this is not the first book, but this is the first book what you can really buy. Because before we did a lot of books which were kind of, you know, that we can give aways because of the very heavy law for the protecting the photographs the pictures. This means, you cannot just sell the books. This means you can give away as a relation book. But this book we did as a first book that we can really go on the market. This is not our business, no, not the thing, but we want to really earn the money, because really with the price of the book, we are just cover our expenses for the printing. By the way, over printing and publishing, because really we cannot absolutely sit here without mention the Blue Media and Autopay. This is the Polish largest fintech company, which is responsible for a lot of payments within Poland. And we are so grateful that we have this partner to help us with every year with the book. Really, thank you very much. Okay, book. It's, we are not predictors, we are not futurologists, we are not forecasters. We're just working with the business and helping business about what will happen. It's a kind of the pandemic time was really very, very interesting, because this is what we had with Rafał. I think this was the shortest briefing for the clients ever. help us how to live, how to survive. And this is, we gathered together to do the book, because there's so many questions, so many unanswered questions, that we decided to put everything what we discussed is in the book. Our group of 2 companies called Futures Thinking, and here starting with the S. This is not about Skalska, no. It's about the multiplying futures. Because first, what we have with the futures thinking, this is, we have a lot of different things, what you can say kind of marketing. But for us, the most important is that we are not believing in one future. Because, how many people we are here, Each of us has completely different reality. Your neighbor has a completely different reality, people in the different countries. This means if you have a different realities, this means we have different futures. So simple. This means the futures is a lot. The people in Ukraine at this moment has a completely different future than, for example, people in Portugal. It's because this is kind of on the different part of the Europe. This means that there's so many different futures, and we are kind of educated to think in one future. This means the question is what will be in the future, and we think it's a wrong way of thinking. We should be more educated into multi-future way of thinking. I will not go, in our method, because we have developed our method, how we also work with the clients. You can start in the beginning, you can go further. It's a way that we are playing, kind of with our clients, that this is something that you have to stretch the elastics, sometimes you have to really stretch your boundary. You have to stretch your narrow thinking, because the future of every company, future of every business lies in that different business. This is really funny. And yes, design thinking, for me is kind of the follow-up of the futures thinking. This means, if you already know kind of where you're going to, you can go in the design thinking, but the futures thinking is the before design thinking. Okay, a little bit context. Book is about VUCA. VUCA is VUCA times we have in the world since 9/11. VUCA time is very characteristic about this multipolar look. This means polarization. The polarization is not about the fight between the white of the black, good of bad. It's not. This is not about being good of bad. It's about that you have a different perspective on the one thing, problem, exactly the different futures. This means, you know, it's a lot of discussion. I really like this from the F. Scott Fitzgerald, that the test of the first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. This means, you know, in some time, you know, we have to really agree that we have a different futures, but maybe within the futures, you have kind of the possibilities you can bet on. What are the disruptions? Because this is what I would like to just a little bit make the frame of the context in the book is. We have the economics business. It's about goodbye growth strategy. You know, many times ago, something like in 2030, Geert Nulles, Belgian economist, wrote a very interesting book, Econoshock 2.0, when he said that everything what economic growth, you know, and everything is kind of never-ending story in the growth, this is already past. We cannot go further. It's a really, you know, kind of we cannot really earn more, we cannot produce more, we cannot buy more. Our houses are full of everything. And this is what happened with us as a consumers. We are started to look on the different way, you know, especially after 9/11 when all things happened in Europe as well. You know, and this movement where the shareholders that have a problem with get them more and more change a lot, you know. And this is kind of the version maybe more simple. When we have these developed countries, something like 24 developed countries, we have a lot of developing countries, we had constantly, you know, vision of the future, one vision of the future. I remember when I was working at Philips Design, we had also vision of the future, everything about vision of the future. Such a wonderful word, huh? No problems, we have only the vision of the future. Yes, and this is exactly what's happened after the 9/11. We decided, I think, kind of in the Western society to give up things, you know, give up things. And, you know, and this is the moment when you're going down, you know, downhill, you know. A lot of clients, what I was working back then, was having the project called always exactly the same, the New Horizon. New Horizon 2050-60, kind of the cities, the ministries, you know, the big corporation, everything about New Horizon, going downhill. You know, and going downhill, you know, somebody pushed us. Can you imagine that you're going downhill and you're being pushed? You know what I mean, huh? It's completely, you're losing absolutely control. And this is exactly what happens with the COVID-19. We just got absolutely pushed, you know. And this was exactly the paradigm shift of everything what was around. You know, and this was, COVID-19 really didn't change anything. It's only accelerated everything. And this is, we got the new normal. You know, the beautiful, beautiful new normal. And this is exactly what we are now, you know, everything accelerated in very, very big tempo. And we are awaiting for the next 10 or 20 years the completely new order. But we don't know in which order we will be, on which scenario, which mindset, which future, but we know that we never come back what was before. Because we have the fourth industrial revolution. You know, fourth, already the Klaus Schwab in 2016 told us about fourth. You know, we have this technology which, according to Wunderman and Thompson, completely is taking 93% of our future. This means, look, if you see every generation is dependent on technology. This means we cannot live without technology. In 2000, Herbert Diess said on the big meeting on the executive on the Volkswagen Group, he said that We have to transform itself into a technology company to survive the upheaval in the global auto industry. You know, and this is exactly what happened with every company, because this is not if, this is just when. And this means if you just read only the first sentence, we have to transform itself into a technology company. It's about every business. Because exactly everything changed, you know, the furniture industry, the food industry, everything have to transform itself into the technology company. This means if you are a technology company, you are not the car industry. You are not industry of making things. And this is exactly, we're collecting a lot of data. We don't know what the data means yet, but we know the data is the new currency of everything. Because slowly we will pay with the data. Already you can see that even in the Netherlands, because they already told us that something like 2 million people in Holland, they already have the smartwatch. This is already enough to get us on the different system for the health assurance. Because we're going in the metaverse, and this is, you know, the universe and the metaverse is big difference, because in the universe, everything is alive. And in the metaverse, we are the battery as a human being. We are building the content of ourselves. This means we are feeding with us the metaverse. And this is, you know, sorry for my for these words, but I think it will be the word for the poor people, because this will be a very cheap in the way to express yourself. Geopolitics, you know, I don't have to tell you what's going on, because going on a lot. First of all, in the geopolitics, we have to change the map. This is not the map of the world. You know, this is like seeing the windows of 95. This means a very old, because this is the new map of the world. And we have to accept this picture, you know. This is the one when the China is the Midland, you know. This is the new world, what we have to accept, and everything what's happened in there. Even together with the Russia moments, now they're calling that we are now in the Asia economic times as well. Look at this, huh? It's a very pinky one. It's a China, India, Japan, Indonesia, and even somewhere Russia as well. China introduced the dual circulation strategy. We have the two main goals of the China: increases domestic consumption and innovation, and the second, reducing dependence on external import. This means, you know, it's the one what they going. Next one is the ecosystem. We have to really stop. We have to really stop with the human-centered design, you know, because we are not very important of this planet. We have to start very much on the Earth-centered design. It will be very difficult because we have to take into consideration other lives that are on this planet as well. Yeah, we are in Holland, you know, we know what it's about. I'm very happy that I'm living in Eindhoven, because Eindhoven on sea will be a very nice place as well. Yeah, because the 2100 is, you know, our grandchildren will live it. And this is what the world will look like. The Netherlands already have the strategy, will be green and the blue land. You can really read about. It's really interesting what's going on. But yeah, it will be interesting. You know, this means we will be really believing in someone again the situation we had in the early years of the human in Europe as well. That's why we have to change. You know, we have to change. I really recommend beautiful book Tomorrow's Timber, also designed by Robert and Jultje as well, which gives more information about the future material. Of course, social shift, you know, we have this 40% of us, you know, of us, will be more and more of us because we are living longer. Oh my goodness, we're living longer. Female more longer. This means there will be army of old women together. Will be very nice. You know, this is really, we are upcoming, you know, Generation Z. There's now the Generation Alpha, which is just born, you know, and this is the human being, you know, that are completely depending on the technology. You know, they even don't know how to even find themselves on the street. You know, where I am. You know, kind of the question is, and they know the answer. You know. Beautiful from the Edward Luce, Financial Times. We live in a world of socialism for the rich and the capitalism for the poor. I think there is something about. That's why social economy Europe, this is what's happening. You know, and this is exactly, you know, we going into the new order. The new order. That's why, you know, we were trying together with Rafał to get and prototype a little bit where we going to. Rafał, can I invite you to get a little bit closer into our 4 scenario?
Thank you.
This is a very nice one. You can use it for the, if it's very hard.
Thank you, Zuzanna. In our group, Zuzanna is a big heart. I'm a rational part of this.
I'm a heart. He's a Russia.
Yeah, I'm Russia. Okay, so have a look at this. So Zuzanna is responsible for sensing potential. So she's looking around, spotting some new things and new signals of change. Looking all around 360 degrees, and showing us some new things, some new materials. Look at this, and search for this. So this is Zuzanna, sensing potential. I'm the rational part of this. So I'm in the background, and I'm synthesizing data and converting them into some reasonable materials and some things that are actionable for clients, for working with those. So Zuzanna is responsible for awareness stretching. I'm responsible for reducing complexity and converting this complexity into some usable data. Okay, so this is all me. Okay? Fine. So going forward, so we together create something which we call Futures Thinking Group, and Futures Thinking that we look around, find some new ideas, new things, and convert it into something that can be applicable in reality. So looking around and converting into some actionable items. And what we did, Zuzanna was showing us the world and showed us this is interesting, that's interesting. So we collected some more than 1,000 signals of change, something that we call them. 800 or maybe 1,000 signals of change, and we were looking for the patterns that stay behind those signals of change. So we clustered, reclustered all those signals of change, and so looking for something that they have in common, apart from the fact that some of them are connected with technology, some are connected with social changes, some are connected with ecological changes and things like that. And we also assume that there are some certainties in the world. For example, within the next 20 years. So within the next 20 years, we assume that technology will evolve. This is one thing that we assumed, that the demography will change, as Zuzanna mentioned. So there will be an army of elderly people here in the western part of Europe. And another thing that we assumed as certainty for us was the climate will change. So this was the basics. Okay, so after clustering or reclustering those things, this is a wall from our studio. Just after 3 days intensive workshop, that we tried to put all those things together and find the patterns. So we clustered those things into on 2 axes. First is connected with the we or me, or individualism or communitarism, or things like that. That is connected with focusing on me, myself, and I. and second is connected with community and looking for the things that we have in common as human beings, after all. And the second one is connected with something which is called abundance, and the second one with shortage. So either we're gonna have more or we're gonna have less. If we're gonna have more, it's gonna be okay. If it's gonna be, if we're gonna have less, what will happen? Okay, so this is a logic that stands behind all those scenarios that we created, and we were looking for some new words and some new statements that we could describe very easily all those scenarios that we created. So first is kind capitalism, the second is active restoration, third is self-consumed, and the fourth one is less is enough. But I will briefly dive into each of them. So you're gonna have some perception, some image of what we created. First, kind capitalism. Kind capitalism, we are in a place which is connected with individualism and abundance. So we have more, we are rich and richer, but who is rich and richer? Yeah, you know, some people are richer than the other, and we are focused on individualism. The main idea behind this scenario is connected with the statement that you have here. So capitalism that serves all stakeholders, not just shareholders, all stakeholders. What does it mean for us? It means that a seemingly impossible mutation of capitalism that we live in just appeared. It's like you know, if you have a if you get to a mind what Henry Ford did in his factories some years ago. This is gonna be Henry Ford 5.0, because he paid more to his workers so that they could buy more. Okay, so the new capitalism will pay more to their workers so they could buy more. Okay, so the world is gonna be in hands of CEOs, of woken CEOs, and we have some hashtags here, so that's that you're gonna have some image of what's behind that. Abundance, automation, of course. Automation is connected with robotization and things like that, and it's connected with digitalization. And we have this term corporate welfare, not welfare state, but welfare corpo. That corporation will take care of their workers, will take the responsibility for the works to evolve. And of course, you can come back to what Harari wrote in his Homo Deus, the things about transhumanism. So it's gonna be like just some images of the future that we're gonna live in, perhaps one of the futures, because nobody knows what the future will be would be like. And for example, the factories without human, everything automated, everything reduced from the basic essential works, rather converted those essential works converted into some automated one. Okay? We also put some questions at the end of each scenario. For example, how will you handle human-machine interaction in your organization? Human-machine interaction in your organization. This is we're running also with Zuzanna in Poland futures thinking studies. These are post-diploma studies, and one of the groups which is working with Siemens is trying to make some solutions about the human-machine interactions. How they're gonna be organized. What skills will you want your organization to develop if or when machines will take over all the repetitive tasks? how might you convert every product into offer, every product, every offer into a service? This is a question that we always ask our clients. And the second one, and here we are in a state that that is focused on individualism, but shortage. Individualism is shortage. So we don't have much, and we are focused on individual. What's gonna happen? It's not gonna happen. Nothing new. It's gonna we're gonna live in the world like we're living right now. So we're gonna the corporations stimulate consumption using behavioral surplus. So have a look at what Zuzanna is writing in her book Surveillance Capitalism. It's nothing new, but you know, if it's gonna evolve in that direction, we're gonna live in a world where everyone was waiting for a change, but change haven't happened. Hasn't come. Companies maximize profit. Consumers are too busy by consuming. Technology has not saved us from ourselves. The technology is, we are doomed for technology. States are too weak and need to resort to oppression and manipulation to survive. Well, I'm from Poland, you know. it's really sad, but it's true. Yeah? It's the reality that's happening right now in my country. Yeah? So, for example, the hashtags that we're following here, this is maximize profit, cost reduction, behavioral surplus, or possession cult. Everybody wants to possess things. we're not gonna abandon possession, and the reality is gonna be like that. Yeah? I know that the European Union is working on AI regulation and on a new AI law that things like that are going to be banished. Well, hopefully, yeah. But everything is connected with behavioral surplus and collecting data. But if the reality is going to be like that, so how can we collect or transform or use third-party data to better understand user behavior and better control user choices? And how can we handle the things that stand behind NBO on NBA, next best offer or next best action, or everything's connected with the choices, controlled choices? Okay. But we have also some more optimistic views of the future. This is my preferred future, yeah, because we're creating, of course, we're creating some possible worlds. But having in mind that some futures are better than the others, we have to stand on one future. This is my future, for example. So active restoration. So we. Hopefully, we're in a state of abundance, and we are focusing rather on community rather than individuality. So, first of all, the main idea that's standing behind that scenario is to accelerate planet regeneration process for the benefit of all. But if it's gonna be like that, so something had to change in our approach to the world, and somebody has to take responsibility for that. But it's not going to happen with corporations. It's not going to happen with the states like Poland. Let's underline this. But you know, we have to look for some wise states. The profit-oriented mindset has been replaced with the mindset that cares about the earth, that cares about the planet. That planet is a driver for the change. Wise statehood, hopefully, initiates and stimulates private and public organization to make some regenerative works for the regenerative work for the planet. Okay, so the hashtags that we organize the future about is wise statehood, circular economy, maybe not circular, because it's worth reading donut economy. I don't know if you know this position. It's really overwhelming. But Kate Raworth, she's not talking about circular economy. She's talking about a different concept, but it's connected, somehow connected. We're looking for a philosophy which is good for planet equals good for me, and distributed wealth. That wealth that we work on the equalizing the possession, or equalizing the state of money that we possess. So hopefully the world will look like that. Yeah, but will it? We don't know. We don't know. We're looking for some new ideas. This is Neri Oxman's work from MIT Media Lab. That she's looking for new materials, for new things to come and to make it happen in the world. Okay. So first of the questions that we always ask to our clients is, if they choose this scenario, because this scenario, I will tell you later on how we work with those scenarios, because knowing the scenario, so being aware of this scenario is only one thing. This is sometimes this is sometimes treated as nice to know. It's nice to know about the scenarios, but how to work with this, okay? But I will come back to this later. How will you encourage others in your value chain to build a system that is consistent with a circular economy? How will you manage through cooperation, care, and empathy, which is connected with female rather than men? Yeah, it's a little bit a bit different way of thinking. How will you develop your business if growth is no longer a priority? I know that you used to, or sometimes ask yourself those questions. But the thought about the degrowth and thought about the abandoning growth as a main priority is something that I strongly believe in. But because coming back to Limits of Growth from 1972 by Donella Meadows and the other guys that were involved in that, they asked, grow for what? Grow for what price? Yeah, when will we have enough? The other question is, and if it's not going to happen like that, so we have another possibility. This possibility is connected with shortage. We don't have much, and it's connected with being together. So community. Okay, feeling. This is what's happening right now, you know, in various places. Zuzanna mentioned that we're looking for the future at the horizon. Okay, so but the future has already happened, but it's not distributed evenly, as Gibson used to said. So if it's not distributed evenly, so this future is also somewhere here in the world. Perhaps it's closer to the Netherlands, perhaps. I don't know, but you are more to the up of this, I suppose. But feeling of being in danger stimulate mutual self-help. People, if they feel in danger and don't have much, they gather together and help one another. So the world has been crumbling under pressure of environmental. Okay, it's happening. Pandemic, economic, and some other migration crises. So another black swans come to our reality. Black swans or grey rhinos? I don't know which of them are more applicable for us. But nevertheless, growth has stalled. The permanent crisis prompts society to look for solutions at the local level. So we're looking closer to each other. We're not looking for global connections, but rather focusing on local ones. So of course there are some hashtags that are following that things. So city villagizing, okay, we sharing economy that is happening here, community, guerrilla ecology, because we don't have much, so we're not doing any spectacular things, but rather working together on a local level. So it's connected with guerrilla ecology. So electric bike like that. So maybe we're gonna grow some mushrooms in our basement, and look. This is very Dutchy. Yeah, this picture is Dutch. Danish, maybe Danish, but
This is army of old women.
This is army of old women living together and helping one another. Yeah, and. So the question is, how can you decentralize your business to better serve local communities? How can you transform your business when your waste becomes your asset? How can you network locally to build value together with others? And it's really mind-blowing if we're working with our clients, because they usually think in a tunnel way. They choose one thing and think about this one thing. And if we want to stretch them, the perception and stretch the awareness, we encourage them to think through all those scenarios. And it's mind-blowing, really mind-blowing, if we come to an idea and then try to stretch this idea in those 4 scenarios. Okay, so these are 4 scenarios, 4 visions of the futures. These are not the only vision of the futures, but these are the patterns that we found. That's all, folks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Suzanna, Rafał, please, I'd love to invite you to the table. While you are seated, I will repeat again where you can ask your questions. Some questions have already been popping up. I have an iPad here so I can see all the questions. Your question might not be answered immediately, but it will be at least posed here at the table. Whether it will be an answer, nobody knows. That's the future, but it will be handled. Wow. So the number is 44970873. It's also right behind me and it's on screen. Wow. I should have brought, I think, sunglasses, because the future is so bright that I have to wear shades. Well, that's what I like about the presentation. We do have a choice. At least that's something that is very strongly in the book as well, and also in your presentations, that we do have a choice. Is that something that you strongly believe?
Yes, very much. You know, and even when we were finishing the book, we still left the name scenario, but we thought that the scenario is a very bad name. But anyway, we kept this because, you know, people really very much, you know, still in the scenario nomenclature and the word. But we think that it's about mindset. This means that we can, and this is exactly what we do together with our team and when working with our clients. It's not about which scenario. This means you go left, right, you know, it's exactly what Rafał said, you know, very much kind of tunnel thinking and kind of they prefer to narrowing down to widen. And this is about, you know, that if you have a kind of mindset, this means you can make the wise decisions, you know, wise, this means you will see in the time, but the decisions which are covering some idea, some, you can say, even purpose you want to have with your future, you know, and this is exactly the way we trying to introduce to you and also.
In that sense, the book is an encouragement.
Yes.
What I like, you mentioned scenarios.
Yeah.
When I think about a scenario, and I think also with me, probably a lot of theater plays. With a scenario, you can improvise.
Yes.
You can take a sidestep or try something different. The book is called Prototyping. doesn't it also apply to a prototype? It's not finished yet. It has to be adapted. It can be adapted, improved, or maybe put into the in the bin.
It's a process.
Maybe even exactly.
Yeah, because I think this is we all are builders of our future. This means that we are all prototyping what the next generation will get. This means we have to really very much focus on our legacy, what we leave. And I think it's not about us. This means what we want. And I believe very strongly that we have to really cooperate with the younger generation, how they want to live their future and what is their vision as well.
There are a lot of young people in the book. A lot of the, I don't know whether it works, but there are a lot of images in the book, and at least half of them, maybe even more. I didn't count all 800, all those signals.
This was really very much the strategy, because because we have a lot of we call this signals of change. This means examples from the business as well.
Yeah.
But for the big pictures, really big pictures, really figuratively big, we focus on the different graduation show from the European schools, because I wanted to see what's going on in the young generation mindset, the young generation of the designers, creatives, how they think future.
They are the makers of the future.
Because they are the makers of the future as well.
Okay. I have a question, probably for you, Rafał, since you're the more rational part of you two. There's a question of one of the viewers at home, or maybe even here, I don't know. Please talk into the mic, because otherwise the people at home can't hear you. Is there any of the 4 scenarios that you think is most plausible? I'm not saying whether you have a favorite, just whether there's one which is more plausible.
I would emphasize one thing just before answering your question, because we usually think we make mistakes about the future, because we usually think about the future in a linear way that connects past with present and with future, and we're thinking about the future linearly. But one of the statement that really sticks to my mind was something like the most sophisticated future concept of future is the future that's happening right now, today, not the future that is gonna happen in 20 years or 30 years. It's not gonna be like that. The future is created day by day. So we choose something that we create the future and the next things that we're doing. So what's possible? It depends on our choices. When I observe, for example, the Netherlands, I'm pretty jealous about the choices that you make.
Being Polish, you mean?
Yeah. In comparison to Poland, in comparison to the choices that our government or we undertake. But coming back to your question,
exactly.
Which is more possible? The more possible is the future, which is connected with our mindset and the choices that we make. Okay, and having a look at, for example, Ukraine, Poland, and the Netherlands, I think the other futures are more possible than the others. Okay, so I'm not sure if I'm precise in this answer. Yeah?
No, not really, because I'd very much like you to pick one of the 4.
Okay, can I help you? Can I help
sure,
Rafał? Because this is what we also find in our professional practice. That this is, even if we have 2 completely different clients from 2 completely different branch of business, or even we have the clients from the same business and we working with them together separately, but for the future, and coincidentally happen that they are choosing exactly the same path. Funny thing is that they are never the same. Because the implementation, the mindset, the possibilities, the leadership as well, the guts feeling what they have in the business are enough difference to make the completely different curve and
different outcome, different future.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in that sense, you know, if I would have picked one of these to be most plausible or most probable to happen, I'd say kind capitalism. There's also a question of one of the viewers, or maybe someone here, isn't kind capitalism sort of the Rhineland stakeholder model? For those who don't know what the Rhineland model is, I had to look it up. I Googled it. It's sort of what we have here in the Netherlands and Denmark. Yeah. So isn't that something that is more plausible here than the, say, less is enough attitude?
I think this is something what is in the big cities, you know, kind of. But also within the big cities, we have a little bit less of is enough. You know, I think it's 4 scenarios we can see in each country, in each city, in the whole world. You know, I'm not taking here the Africa of the China, because this is when we have to talk about the future of those other continents is completely different. This is very much focused on the European view, but it's true. You know, it's a very much kind of the Scandinavian, how you can say, way of thinking. It's something, you know, what is about the awareness of society. It's about kind of the way of I think very much the religion. You know, how the religion, you can see how the religion split. You know, this means the Catholic religion as well, the Protestant. You know, how much in the way how you see the world, how you make the decision is also based on exactly how you grew up with the religion. It's a really interesting.
So it is possible for all these 4 scenarios to be at the same time, at the same place, but sort of one is more predominantly stronger than the other one. That is possible. Please, yes or no?
Yes.
Because I have a lot of questions from other people.
So shortly, yeah?
Yes, yes, so it is possible. Yes. Now that's for now enough, because I have a lot of questions and I'd very much like to handle as much.
Okay, so waiting for another question, but
as much as possible. Yeah, no, that's for now, that's fine. Zuzanna, could you describe what the process of gathering signals of change look like? So how do you gather these 800 plus signals, and where do you do it?
You know, I'm just making the good coffee, you know, putting this TV on, you know, and just...
That's not true. I know that from experience.
Exactly.
Because there's no design event I go to and I see Zuzanna somewhere...
Like, you got it, exactly. It's a 4 pair of shoes, you know, the big luggage. It's true, you know, this is exactly, you know, I really like it very much, you know, when the people ask me, you know, Zuzanna, can you tell me what is the source of your trends, you know, kind of, and then, you know, I'm telling the source of my trend is very high in the mountains, you know, when you can fly, you cannot get there, and we gathered out together with few of us, you know, yearly, you know, and we just we drinking the water from the source, you know, and the source, you know, it gives us a lot of information, you know. Yeah, and this is exactly what people want to see. Where is the source, you know? And this is exactly, the source is, my goodness, you know, I'm exactly making in the morning the coffee, you know, and just switching BBC, you know, RTL, you know, the exactly
but
everything. This means that first of all,
sure,
you know, what's going on the world.
We're going to step away from the practical level,
okay.
That you're on 24 hours a day,
yes,
I can imagine, and everything you see, you process.
Yes.
But what is your filter? What is that makes that you see things that me and other people here in the room
my goodness,
might
must
not
be like
see?
my promoter for my PhD. I don't know yet what is my filter, but you know, it's a guts, really, my intuition. I don't know how it's happened, but, you know, maybe because of my experience with my work, you know, when back then, you know, working with Van Berlo as well, you know, we had so many different clients, you know, and one wants this one, another wants this one, another this one, and I was the only one. I have to really scan everything. This means that constantly, you know, I had kind of I think, you know, everything would grab my attention, I remember. And I putting this, you know, I have just my own system, and I know that I have this. And this is kind of, you know, when you see once, when you see twice, when you see third time, this means is something going on. You know, this is
That's
exactly,
a journalism principle. One is coincidence.
One
Two is like you
have to
got to
think,
pay attention.
yeah.
Three, you got a story.
You have this. This is, you know, exactly with the weather forecasting, I think too, and with the trend forecasting also. This is exactly, you know. But what is about, you know, that exactly I'm trying to search with the. I'm not specialized myself. I specialize myself in the 8 completely different businesses. This means different industry. And just, you know, when you see something in the medical systems, you know, something you can see in the financial system, you know, something in architecture.
It's mostly about connecting
the dots. This is exactly the connection, because you know, if you see just the trends in the food, you know, and the one is doing this means it's very simple, but if you connecting the unusual things together.
Okay, but if you connect unusual things, I think your job must have become so much harder, because we live in a time of extremes, not only the weather, but you know, there's a situation in the Ukraine. We had Corona. They're like crisis on crisis on crisis. How can you? Is it still possible?
Is it a crisis? It's chance.
Possibilities, opportunities.
Yeah,
well, okay, let's see. Yeah. I'm still a little bit skeptical about that. Let's see. Oh, okay. But
be positive.
But is it? Yeah. Well, I try to.
Thank you.
But what happens afterwards?
No, but is it still possible to make a future when there's so much unpredictable?
Yes, because I think it's exactly in the moment when you have this, because this is not a one paradigm shift. I think we have tsunami of paradigm shift of everything, really of everything. And I think we really were hard working for this. This means, you know, we were so very long completely we denying the climate change. We were denying that we were completely blind, you know, that about the targets, how much we can earn every year, you know. This means kind of we all knew it. But every time we will say, you know, somebody else will save us, you know.
Our children.
It's a very easy, you know. And this eclectic, this everything, you know, brought us to the moment that we are in the moment when now you know, this like when you put everything in the cabinet, you know, and you're closing the cabinet, and in the moment when you're trying, you know, there's so many problems you have that even the cabinet cannot place this. This means, you know, you can see how the doors are already bursting, you know, and this is exactly what is the moment, because we are so long we were putting this, you know, kind of on site. We don't want to see it. We are blind. We don't want to discuss this about, you know, or, you know, you have the left saying that I don't know, the earth is flat, another one that is very round. You know, this means it's
what they call the Indian way of dealing with the problem. You don't see it, you don't have it. You either look away, or a bigger problem will occur eventually that needs your attention. So that's how we have been living. I have a very practical question of one of the audience. How do you expect people to use the book, and how to read it, to use it, and how to implement it?
I don't expect, you know. I think that people, maybe I expect, you know, everybody can use it different. You know, one can just, you know, make an, you know, from the first page, you know, and read and finish on the last. Another just can kind of make kind of totoloto, you know. Oh, nice, nice. You know, I think this book is, we didn't express, you know, this book is not, there is no begin and there's no end.
No, it's a loop. Yeah.
It's a loop. Yeah. Exactly. This means doesn't matter when you open, doesn't matter when you open, you know. We really had this kind of idea that this is the very important one. We had idea there is no page that is only text. On each page, you know, every page, even if it's with the text, you know, there's something what is not really black on white. You know, this means it's that every page grab your attention. It's it's simple, and for people who don't like read, it's a very short text. Nice.
Well, there are a lot of sound bites as well, and a lot of those, you call them hashtags. A lot of them.
Can I add something to this?
Yeah,
because we put emphasis on the issue of serendipity. Serendipity is a matter of invention for us.
Serendipity.
Serendipity.
Okay.
Serendipity. So innovation is a matter of serendipity.
Serendipity is you're looking for something and you find something that you were not looking for.
And you find something you're not looking for. So we tried to make the text as short as possible. And you remember perhaps the words of Mark Twain, who said, "I'm writing a long letter because I don't have time to write a short one." So we put emphasis on writing short texts and make this text something like staccato, like some information, another information, not a long story, but rather in a staccato way of thinking, and this makes you look for something and find something different. Using the mechanism of serendipity. This is the first thing.
And also the association that you work with. That's how you connect it. Well, I do have a disappointing question I'd like to ask Mark Twain, since you mentioned him. He also said there are three sorts of lies. There's the lie, there's the really big fat lie, and then there's statistics. I had the impression that you work quite a lot with statistics.
Not a lot, but this was our conversation with C-level, with C-level of people from C-level from different companies, because they want the proofs.
Yeah,
they
always show me the proof.
Show me the proof. We're talking about the innovation. Show me the proof where it works. But if we're talking about the proofs, we're talking about that something's happening right now, right somewhere on the earth. This is the first thing, and the second thing is about statistics. I didn't really like the idea of putting much of the statistics into this book, but we were selecting those things, those figures that were applicable to the thesis that we followed. There are not as much statistic as we first chose to be.
We wanted to have even more.
We cut a lot of that.
So you would suggest to use the book almost as a browser. You just go through it and you find something different, you connect, you read, and today I'm going to start with page 1, and then tomorrow I'll be at page 50, and then like linear, like the future is, you just zap it through.
Yeah, but you can also read it linearly.
It is possible.
It is possible. Because we end all of those scenarios with a short story that we created a day in life of a person who lives in these scenarios in 20 years.
This means you can read short essay on the end of each scenario.
Okay. What I find interesting in your book, and actually with most of the future scenarios, that if you read them back in, say, 10, 15 years, this book will probably tell us more about 2022 than it will tell us about 2040.
Of course.
Future has already happened.
Yeah.
It is already happening, and it's not what it used to be. You might say, if you look at the state of the world, what role does the past play? That's also a question from the audience. What role does the past play? Because it seems very much that you're into the here and now, but also I'm trained as an historian. What role does the past play for you? And what can we learn?
It's a very good question, but we are the past. Yeah? We are strongly embedded in past. We live in past. We have the past. We know. you know, the past is incarnated somehow in us. Yeah? But you know, first of all, this was very brilliant thing that you mentioned, that this book is going to tell us more about 2022 than
Today's
2040.
newspaper.
Yeah, today's newspaper. Yeah, that's really great. But you know, this book is dedicated to work with our cognitive biases. Yeah? So because we all live in some cognitive biases and some cognitive limitation, so because we thinking not only in a tunnel way, but rather a funnel way, because we are trying to prove ourselves that we are right. Okay, so we come from one thought to the second, to the third, and we diving into a funnel. But this book is stretching this way of thinking. So this is a tool for trespassing our cognitive biases.
Okay.
Can I add something?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Because you said about history, and I think from the history
It's what's happening.
we learn one thing that we never learn from the history. You know, and what is very nicely about that with the newest technology, what we have already. We relearn our history. You know, look on the programs what we have now on TV, that, you know, we're discovering now so much things we never thought about our past. This means, you know, for example, what I see now, that US is a very big identity crisis, because their history canon is completely almost done. You know, this means, for example, the Columbus is not the one who is discovered America. You know, they are just discovered that the Vikings, you know, discovered America. This means they have to relearn their own history.
Actually, it was never discovered. You know, the Native Americans were already there.
Yes, I know, but from the European point of view, because now which map you're talking about? Huh?
Exactly.
Yeah, I recommend fantastic
you were mentioning
book,
biases,
Year
so
1000.
I had to intervene.
Yeah, it's a really interesting, you know, exactly that we really don't know enough about our past. This means we don't, you know, history is only some kind of collective. Agreement.
Okay.
You know, this means it's really interesting that we are never learning from the past. We sometimes, you know, we rediscovered our past again and again.
So there's one question here which I find, well, if nothing is certain, what's the point of forecasting in the first place? Well, I think we've answered that. It's always also
because
a way of looking to the future, looking to the present, and also a little bit to the future as well. But it's only a part of it. It's about more.
Yeah.
I would say because I'm an economist. Yeah? My background is connected with economy. So yeah,
it's not even a science. Eh?
not even a science.
A lot of economists say that themselves. It's what we do is actually not science.
Yeah, actually yes.
Not even journalism.
But you know, I used to work with strategy. The strategy was my first profession, and we were developing strategy and another strategy, and afterwards we learned that strategy is a process, not a state. Yeah. So if strategy
Rafał,
is a
could
process,
you talk a little bit better in the microphone?
If strategy is a process, so futures thinking is also a process that should be repeated year after year, and people should learn how to work with futures, how to make a conversation, how to organize conversation between people about the future, because managers within companies. Recently, one of the biggest German technology company, the CEO of this company asked us to teach their managers, the directors within the companies, to think wider. And we conducted a futures thinking process where we taught them how to think future-wise. Okay, and they told us after five months process that they will repeat it year after year to stretch the way of thinking, and the way they perceive they perceive the reality. Okay, year after year, year after year.
But it's a very nice question about that the future is uncertain. That's why we're doing that, and this is exactly what it's about. If you don't know what you want, you always get what you don't want. This means if you don't know what are the possibilities, you will never make the first step. And this is what I really like very much when I work, for example, with my students on the Technical University Eindhoven of Delft as well, that when you showing the things, kids are, oh, I didn't know about. Oh, this is also possible. Or for example, this is also the future of designer. Oh, this means that designer can also do like that. Oh, I didn't know about. I thought that designers, kind of and they say, and this is exactly, who more you will broad, this, you will give this wide possibilities, This means for the people, kind of you can you will feed them with this, you will give a little bit higher perspective, like, oh my goodness, This means we know what you know what you don't want. This means you can choose, think what you want. This means you will create something for yourself.
Yeah, but with students, it's pretty easier. But I always say something like that we balancing. But I do really love my job. Yeah, but we balancing between banal and enlightenment.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a balance.
Constantly, like in the circles.
Last question. And before I invite Robert van Rixel, he's the designer of the book, because I think we're now all very curious how you pack 800 plus signals into a comprehensive book.
Chapeau bas.
Last question is, why did you pick 2040?
Because I think that 2030 is so yesterday. So yesterday, everybody talking about 2030, and 2050, I will be very old, and I didn't like about it, and I think 2040 was exactly, kind of, we have only 14 years our iPhone. This means
exactly.
Look. This means even in 10 years can change so much, that even the 10 years ago, we couldn't really imagine. This means, kind of we add something like a 20 years, 20th year. This means, just that can really change a lot. That's why it was 2004.
Sounds like a gut feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, if you're looking, for example, for a state or a city, you should have the longer horizon. For example, 2050, 2060, because the changes are happening slower. than in the tech companies. But we're looking through various industries, so we have to have this gut feeling that will balance those things.
Yeah. Robert, I mentioned you already. Could you please join us at the table? We're all very, very curious, and we all want to pick your brain to see how you put. We've been talking here. We've been overfed with information for more than an hour now. So for you, it must have been pretty incredible ride. Let me start by asking, on a scale of 10, how much fun was it to design this book?
Oh, at the end, a lot of fun.
At the end,
Thank you.
It went a bit up and down, I think. What is our role in this? We have made a lot of books before, and this was, and we also made with Zuzanna, we made during the Design Week, we made 5 smaller trend books, so we know each other for about 20 years, and this is more or less a Polish project. So they had already made 3 books, I think, and then they were looking for another designer, and so they asked us. So we did also the
previous one.
The previous one. And then they came up with this, and then but the previous one was much more visual, a lot of pictures, and hardly any text in it. It was more an inspiration book. So they come up to us, and we thought we were going to make more or less a book like that, but that didn't happen. And you have experienced them both now for an hour.
The camera is loving Robert, but he can't see him.
Okay.
No, you can stay.
Okay.
Rafał, yeah. Well, that's okay. I think that's enough, Rafał. Thank you so much.
You've both experienced them for an hour, and that was our starting point.
Exactly.
And how, I think the biggest achievement of us is that we get a kind of a structure in it all, and keep it all in hand. But somewhere we had to start, so we came up. Now we listened to them carefully, and we came up with a first presentation. It can look like this.
Yeah. It sounds like a future scenario, but it doesn't have to. So you presented them 4 different scenarios?
Now we made, I think, 3 or 4 versions of each time we had to adjust it. And
so that's why they have 4 different covers. There's a rule, huh? No, but there's a rule in publishing. If you make 4 different covers, you sell 4 times less.
Okay.
Perfect.
That was already covered by the Polish company.
But I think our biggest achievement is that we kept it all in hand, and it was an emotional process for us all. I think there were times that there was total chaos, and what we did is kept our calm and came up with solutions and ideas. Okay, we have to adjust things like that. And what I think is interesting is that the end result is totally different from what we expected to start with, but it's still a very fine book, and it has a lot of layers in it. There were quite some people involved, and what was also a part is that we had to communicate with Poland and Eindhoven. So we had Agata, who was the project manager, and we had Olga, who was the illustrator, and then we had also the lawyer.
So there were a lot of people involved in this book.
Yeah, there were a lot of people involved, and. Because this was the first book which was planning for sale, then you have copyrights and things like that, and then there are totally different rules in what you can do and what you can do with the book. Yeah. And so each presentation went to the lawyer, and he said, "No, you have to make the images smaller. You have to come up with the text, your own text. It was like, now it has to be on top. The image is over there, not bigger as a quarter of a page." Then we had the illustrations. That was also a layer. That's one of the persons of the office, and they were. At the beginning, they were not so very dominant, but they became more important and more important. And I was thinking about it, but one of the reasons why the illustrations are that important, because we are talking about the future, and you cannot make pictures of the future, no. But you can make drawings, and they gave it the total een eigen karakter.
It's a specific identity of the book. And if you look at the book, maybe here's some of the illustrations. There are lots of illustrations.
It's a language.
Even
it's a separate language.
Exactly. Yeah. But they have maybe a question for you, because you selected the illustrator. They're very, I wouldn't say naive, but they're very comprehensive. They're almost like for children.
Yes.
They're very friendly.
Yes.
Why is that?
Why is that? I don't know, but this is exactly the
why
style.
Why did you choose?
Ah, okay.
Why did you,
You know why we? It's also was a process because Olga was the member of our team. She was working at us, and in the beginning she has completely different ambition. But you know, when we were starting with this book, we said that we will look for the illustrator, and she said, I am an illustrator, and we were like, "Oh my goodness, we didn't know about this part of your portfolio." And she opened her website, you know, with the project she did it and how she approached her website and everything. And she said, "This is my style," you know. And we were like, "Oh, we like it," you know. This was something about it. And Olga she prepared few drawings, you know. And this is what in the beginning was that this was not so much work, you know. This means that a lot of kind of the statistic, the things what we don't want to just kind of redraw, you know, just because we are not allowed to use it, the picture, and we don't want to just, you know, ordinarily redraw and make just a little bit kind of different graphic, you know. She will cover, but you know, slowly when she was making this one to another one, or maybe another one, you know, and also the another one, you know. And this was like, for example, I remember, but this is not anymore in the book, but this was like, you know, like, Olga, can you just oh, here you will draw the Mark Zuckerberg, you know, kind of, you know. She was like kind of
what I like about it, a lot of these images of the future, they're very slick.
Yeah.
They always seem to be drawn in Palo Alto, you know, in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
There's always the sun, and there's always a lot of white people running around. And what I like about her illustrations, that it's very much crafty also. Man-made. It's very much from now. So I think that works very well.
And this is
book.
Even the letter type is her.
It's exactly. It's not like very digital or anything. It's almost like almost a little bit handwritten.
Yeah.
Last question, Robert, of this evening is for you.
Okay.
Yes. Well, actually, I have two. The first one, and I hope you can answer it a little bit short. First, somewhere in the conversation it was mentioned that this book is also like a browser. You can flip through, you can pick it up and see, oh, wow, here, oh, this is beautiful. Oh, yeah, could be here tomorrow here. And so how did it influence you as a designer? Did you work before making a book that way?
Yeah. For instance, the wood,
the timber,
the timber book was a bit like that. All kinds of short stories. I like working like that. Bringing structure, and there are all kinds of layers in it. And they all have their own place, and we were adding layers when we had the basic of it. When you have a good structure, and you can add all those things, it's also an easy way of working.
Okay.
Robert is very modest,
that's
but
probably
this
what
was
made
a
it
lot
so
of
satisfying in the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Last round of questions to all of you. Do you have a favorite? Like, which of these scenarios you would most want it to be real? Like kind capitalism, active restoration, self-consumed, or less is enough? You don't have to pick. They're all good. It's all good.
Now I prefer the same as Rafał did. Of course, we all hope that we're all in it together, not as an individual, but as a group. So
the kind capitalism.
No. That's
active restoration.
Yes, that's it.
Active restoration. That's also your favorite, Zuzanna?
I don't have the favorite one. I have favorite two because I like the whole part of me.
Yeah.
It's sorry, the part of we. Sorry,
okay, so the active restoration and the less is enough.
That we as a collective. This means this means not on me. This means not only me and me, but exactly the whole two. This means active restoration and less is enough. Because I think this is the future. We should really put our mindset there. Definitely.
Okay. Well. Yeah. We. That reminds me of Muhammad Ali when he was given his doctorate in Oxford. in literature, and they asked him, give us a poem, one of those cocky students, and he said, me, we. So even way before your book, Muhammad Ali already said it.
Yes, of course.
And I'm not, definitely don't want to debunk your book, but that's how we all look at the future. We start associating and collecting things.
Yeah.
After all, it must have been simple and rooted in our humankind and our mentality. Yeah. So we were looking for some dimensions that are gonna be presented in a very simple way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's very, very much clear. It's a lovely book to dive into, to sit for 1 hour, or to pick it up at the coffee in the morning and flip through it for 5 minutes. It offers a lot of possibilities and thought-provoking ideas.
Thank you.
To the audience at home, I say thank you for watching. Please join again here at Pakhuis de Zwijger. You are also cordially invited to come to one of the evenings here in the Pakhuis, because then you will enjoy a Q&A afterwards with the people here, and you can have a drink downstairs in the bar as well. That's what we're going to do. But first, thank you so much for tuning in this evening at Pakhuis de Zwijger, and do remember, stay tuned. Thank you.